Sean Diddy Combs pleads not guilty to sex trafficking and racketeering. Judge denies bail as rapper faces possible life imprisonment. Combs was brought before U.S. Magistrate Judge Robin Tarnofsky after prosecutors brought 3 criminal charges against him in federal court in the Manhattan borough of New York City. Sean Diddy Combs used his fame as one of hip-hop's biggest names to coerce women into demeaning sexual acts as part of a long-running scheme of sex trafficking and racketeering, prosecutors said yesterday, in bringing 3 criminal charges against him. Combs, aged 54, pleaded not guilty in Manhattan federal court, hours after the 14-page indictment was unsealed. U.S. Magistrate Judge Robin Tarnofsky denied bail for Combs, granting a prosecution request for continued detention before trial, following the music mogul's arrest on Monday. In a possible preview of defense strategy, Combs' lawyer Mark Agnifilo called the sexual activity, described by prosecutors as consensual. Combs faces a sentence of up to life in prison and a minimum of 15 years if convicted of the 3 felony counts, which are racketeering, conspiracy, sex trafficking, and transportation to engage in prostitution. People gathered outside of the United States Court in Manhattan as Combs was brought to court. Prosecutors said Combs enticed women by giving them drugs such as ketamine and ecstasy, financial support, or promises of career support, or a romantic relationship. Combs then used the surreptitious recordings of the sex acts as collateral to ensure that the women would remain silent, and sometimes displayed weapons to intimidate abuse victims and witnesses, prosecutors said. When Tarnofsky asked how he wished to plead, Combs, whom was wearing a black t-shirt and gray sweatpants, stood up, pulled a thin microphone on the defense table upward, and said, "Not guilty. My concern is that this is a crime that happens behind closed doors," the judge said in denying bail before Combs was led out of the courtroom by members of the U.S. Marshals Service. Defense lawyer Mark Agnifilo said that he will appeal his client's continued detention at a hearing on Wednesday before U.S. District Judge Andrew Carter, who will oversee the rest of the case. The defendant, Sean Combs, physically and sexually abused victims for decades. Prosecutor Emily Johnson, arguing for continued detention, told the judge, "He is extremely dangerous to the community." Combs is the highest-profile music industry figure charged with sexual misconduct since R&B singer R. Kelly, who was sentenced to a combined 31 years in prison after being convicted in New York in 2021 and Chicago in 2022 for sex trafficking, racketeering, child sex crimes, and other counts. During raids of Combs' homes in Los Angeles and Miami Beach, federal authorities found drugs, 1,000 bottles of baby oil and lubricant, along with AR-15 rifles with defaced serial numbers.